I don't know if I'm hesitating because I'm about to cough or if I'm hesitating because of the subject of the video. Either way, let's get started. So, let's talk about what my plan is for surviving the next couple months. Before I get into that, I just want to give you a couple updates. One regarding my rehab team. I just had an appointment with them, so I want to discuss everything that we talked about. And the other quick point that I want to discuss first is first of all, I just want to thank everyone who watched and commented and liked the last video. Unfortunately, because of the sheer amount of comments, at this point, last time I checked, there was over 340 comments. I just do not have the energy to read all those comments, let alone respond. So unfortunately, I'm going to skip the comments in that video. Luckily for me and for you, my friend has kind of summarized the different types of comments that people left. Of course, there's the typical, like, I hope you get better, like, we're with you, we hope, we're sending you love and prayers and everything, and I definitely appreciate that. There was also a lot of people making suggestions of what they think that I should do, some of which were formulated in not disrespectful, but let's just say, I don't know the word for it, but it's basically like instead of suggesting something, it's like, do this. Like, that's what you need to do, like that type of comment, And there's nothing wrong with that. I know people are only trying to help, they only want the best for me. But it's just like, given everything I've been through recently and the amount of comments, like, I just know it would not be good for me to read all those comments. Because even though I know it comes from, a place of love and of care and of concern, at the end of the day, it sometimes gets overwhelming for me. When people are like, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. You're an idiot for not doing this. You're an idiot for not doing that. And, it's just, sometimes it's too much for me to take. And I feel like that's what would have happened if I read the comments on the last video. So I appreciate every single person who commented. I appreciate, all the comments, whatever type of comment it was. I know it comes from a place of love and concern. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to read them and not going to be able to respond to them. So I just wanted to acknowledge that because I feel it's always very important for me to be upfront about everything that goes on. That being said, I'm aware of, the basic comments that kind of repeated over and over. And, I've heard them in comments in other videos and stuff like that. And it's not like I'm ignoring them. It's just I need the proper amount of time to do the things necessary. And that's what I've been doing. And that's one of the big things I'm going to discuss in this video. Some things that I discussed with my rehab team. And there's a few different things. First one, blue nails. Even though it seems way bluer on camera than it actually is. I asked, regarding oxygen, regarding everything, what are the different options, what are the risks, and so on and so forth. And the thing is, every single time I go to the hospital, every time I have an appointment, every time they, take my blood pressure and check my oxygen levels are always normal. That has never been an issue. The only thing that I'm thinking could be potentially an issue is maybe it's at night. Because when I'm during the night, I have more trouble breathing. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm just, lying down instead of sitting up or standing up. Maybe it's the fact that, it's the night, so I'm just sleeping. So buildup of secretions makes it more difficult for me to breathe. So there's less oxygen coming in. And as a result of that, maybe my levels are lower than they should be. I don't know. The thing is, it's very difficult to measure that because it's during the night. Every other time I had it tested, always obviously during the day when I go to the hospital, everything's always been normal. And I spoke to the doctor and I asked, like, would it be worth it getting, I forget the name exactly, but it basically like those little machines you put on your finger and it measures the oxygen level. He's like, nah, don't worry about that. That is not necessary. There is a test that we can do to determine potentially, at night, maybe you are getting less oxygen. There's a way for us to do that. However, it's a more complicated, more invasive test. So, and it's not really us that does it. So let me refer you to someone, and I'm going to talk about that in the future. It kind of covers a few different points, who could potentially administer that test or determine if it's worthwhile. But for now, oxygen levels do not seem to be an issue. So I know that's something recurring that a lot of people mention in the comments. I wanted to take the time to acknowledge it. I did speak with my doctors and everything. So, we're doing the best that we can on all fronts. Next thing is, it's getting to the point where I'm like, all right, maybe in the future, whether it's a couple weeks, couple months, some point down the line, there's a possibility that I will start needing help. One of those things, the most basic level of help, and also the most important, is transportation to and from the hospital. Especially given my 2 last appointments, threw up on the way to the hospital, felt really lightheaded. Eventually I had to take an Uber there. And then last appointment had to take an Uber back home because there's no way I could handle walking. So it's like, all right, clearly, especially now, like in winter with the cold and my current condition and everything, it's like, I cannot handle doing that. So I asked them, like, are there any services available? They said, yes, there are. You need to fill out forms. They filled out the forms that they need to fill out, gave me the forms I need to fill out with all the instructions. I have that over there on the coffee table. I'm going to fill that out as soon as I can, send that in. And hopefully within the next couple weeks, I'll be able to start getting transport from the apartment to the hospital and then to the hospital back to the apartment. So that is the biggest thing. Second thing is, what if I need help at home? At the moment, I'm able to, do everything that I need to do, but it's starting to be a struggle. There's a reason why I haven't cut my hair in a while, why I haven't shaved my beard. Like, yeah, part of it is like, I really don't care at this point. It's not important. Another part of it is exactly that. I am weak enough that laziness wins out over cleanliness. And yeah, I know that rhymes, that sounds good, but that wasn't the intention. Point is, I'm able, like if I wanted to, I'd be able to cut my hair, I'd be able to cut my beard. It's just I don't have the willpower to do it. And that's an issue. Same thing for cleaning. Yeah, I'm a clean person. I do the dishes, as soon as I'm done a meal. And, whenever I'm preparing food and there's crumbs on the counter, I'm going to pick it up. But it's like, going through the trouble of dusting and vacuuming and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay, I technically have the energy to do it. I just don't have the willpower necessary to get myself to do it. And that's not a good sign. So it's getting to the point where it's like, all right, I might start needing help at home. So how does that work? How does that look? Is there something available to me? If so, what's the structure? What's the delay? Does it cost anything? Like, how does that all work? So pretty much everything goes through palliative care, whether it's just basic help at home, or it's something more advanced, such as me living in the hospital or living in a, assisted living facility. But the thing is, the way that it works, the palliative care system in Canada, is that in order to get full care, so like living assisted facility, like they take care of like meals and laundry and cleaning and everything. Like basically all you need to do is just stay alive another day. Like that level of care. Uh, the thing is, you need to, one, no longer be receiving treatment, and two, have been diagnosed by the doctors that you have less than 3 months left to live. I'm not at that stage yet, so obviously that's not an option. Plus, let's be honest, if ever it gets to that point, ain't no way in hell I'm gonna go like live in some random place and have random strangers take care of me. I'm gonna hop a plane and go spend whatever time I have left with my wife. So no matter what, that's not really an option. Like it is an option, it's just never an option that I would select because it doesn't make sense given my situation. However, it's also through palliative care that they can provide home assistance. The only issue is in order to receive most things related to home assistance, you need to no longer be receiving treatments. And I still am. So the help that I can receive on that front is somewhat limited. I don't know exactly. My doctor has put in a request to meet with the palliative team. That way they can explain everything to me. And the thing is, there's usually a delay of approximately 6 weeks between the time where you put in the request and then you actually get to speak to someone. You can start getting, support or whatever. So we put that in now. Hopefully in 6 weeks, I'll be able to start speaking to someone, and then I'll have a better idea of like, okay, what help can I receive now at home given my current situation? It's also via the palliative care team that I can, start discussing things and having conversations such as, do I want to be resuscitated if I die? Things like that. Not pleasant conversations, but conversations that I need to get. And I'm not quite at that point yet, but water time. But we're getting to the point where, yeah, okay, maybe in the next few weeks, next few months, it's something that I could potentially need. So let's not wait. Let's start the process now so that by the time it gets to that point, if it gets to that point, of course, then we'll be ready. The things will be in place and I'll know what to expect and I can prepare for it. So that was kind of the gist of what we discussed today. Slight adjustments to a few meds, increasing a few different things. Nothing really that new on that front. Unfortunately, I didn't get to speak to the nutritionist today. So she's going to call me back next week to discuss like, all right, is there a strategy, a system we can come up with to help you eat more, consume enough calories that you're not losing weight? Because at this point, it's like I'm not able to eat enough solid foods to get enough calories. And my body cannot tolerate the amount of liquid diet, in this case Ensure, that I would need to drink in order to get them like the necessary amount of calories. Because at my current weight, my current height, I need about 2,000 calories to maintain my weight and, hopefully start gaining a bit. That's kind of the goal. Unfortunately, in order to get that, no way I can get that through food alone. So it has to be a mix of food and liquid food. And Ensures, okay, the ones that I'm taking now, it's the highest calories, and it's like 350 calories per little bottle like this. So I did the math, and I'm like, all right, if I drink 4 of those per day, that's 1,400 calories. That leaves me 600 calories. I'm able to get 600 calories of solid food through breakfast and through lunch. Unfortunately, something is making me vomit. Whether it's the Ensure in my body not being able to tolerate more than a certain amount, whether it's the new meds that were prescribed to me by my rehab team, whether it's the new immunotherapy treatment, Or maybe it's just a progression of the disease that's causing me to throw up. Whatever it is, I'm throwing up more. We need to find a solution because I'm not able to get enough calories in my body as it is. And it's not good because I'm starting to lose weight. They weighed me this morning. I am now down to 114 pounds, which is the least I've ever weighed as an adult, of course. As a baby, I definitely weighed less than that. At least hope for my mother, because, ow, 114-pound baby, that sounds painful. So that's kind of the biggest issue at the moment is diet. Aside from that, of course, like I'm trying to do the exercises that my physiotherapist, recommended. I have it here and I do it as often as I can, but there are just some days where it's like I'm too weak. I threw up. I wasn't able to eat enough. I don't have the energy necessary to do it, or I'm coughing too much, or I'm having breathing issues, or I'm having pain, or for whatever reason I can't do it. And because of that, it's very hard to maintain my current weight. And same thing for walking. I try to do it as much as I can, as long as I can, but I am very limited in what I can do. And because of that, it's hard to not only maintain, but ideally I would like to start being able to, regain some strength. Because at this point, I am very, very, very weak. To the point where, just to kind of give you an idea, I used this example with my friend 10 minutes ago, something like that. I was messaging with him. And I was like, you know what? It would be easier climbing Mount Everest in my normal state than it is for me to go to the hospital and come back home in my current state. That is my level of strength at the moment, just to give you an idea. So anyway, all that to say, that's kind of a summary of everything I discussed with my rehab team today, what the options are, what I'm going to do, the stuff that we started and everything. So transport hopefully is going to be taken care of soon. That won't be an issue anymore. When it comes to help at home, the options on that front seem somewhat limited, given just the way the system is structured. Plus, I have to wait 6 weeks to speak to the palliative care team and just, exactly understand what are the different options and the details and everything. So for now, my goal, my plan to stay alive for the next couple months is, number one, let's keep exercising, let's keep walking, and let's keep eating as much as I can and try to survive until winter's over. That is my number one goal. Once winter's over, then I can start going outside again, going for walks again, enjoying the fresh air, going to the park, and I know that's going to make a huge difference. I know that's going to help. Maybe not to, get back to where I was, but at least to maintain the level that I'm currently at, to avoid declining even further. So for now, that's my goal. Survive winter. Step 2, start rebuilding my strength, my cardio, my endurance, stuff like that. Once spring comes and I'm able to go back outside, that's kind of like step 1 and 2. And then the rest, well, it's really going to depend on what the palliative care team says, the options that are available to me, how I feel in those 6 weeks when I manage to speak to someone. Because at this point, things can change very quickly. It's very difficult to know. So that's kind of the plan at the moment. And there's something else that I've been kind of discussing with my wife recently. And it may seem kind of stupid given, the severity of my situation and everything I'm going through. But I've been thinking for a while, you know what? I used to play video games. I stopped because I kind of got bored of it and didn't really enjoy it that much anymore. But I feel like I would enjoy it now. It would be a source of entertainment, a source of distraction, and that could be really beneficial for me at the moment. Unfortunately, that would mean buying a video game console. That would mean buying, you know, video games, and it's like if you look at the current price of the latest generation of video game consoles, if you buy it new, let's say PlayStation 5. I've always been a PlayStation person, not been a huge fan of Xbox. So to me, it's like if I get something, obviously it's going to be a PlayStation 5. If you look at the prices for that, you're looking at anywhere between 500 on the low end, if you're lucky, up to 800-900 bucks if you want to go like with the latest deluxe version, whatever. So it's like, all right, plus games in Canada at least are like minimum 70 bucks new, sometimes 80, sometimes 90, depending if it's a special edition or whatever. And I'm not really the type to buy that many video games, at least I wasn't back when I played. And I know I wouldn't buy them new, but still, it's like, all right, buy a console, buy a couple of games, you're probably looking at almost $1,000. And I'm just like, I feel guilty. First of all, because it's like, people are donating money to help me pay for Uber rides to the hospital because I'm so weak that I'm struggling to be able to make it to my medical appointments. I would just feel like a piece of shit using part of that money to buy a video game console. It's like, but on the other hand, it's like, I know it would be good for me. It would be a source of entertainment, a source of distraction. It would, help fill my days. It would keep me from feeling lonely. It would be a good thing. But there's just like, given everything, it's like, it feels like a waste of money. And it's like, even if I don't use the money that people donate, even if I just use like, whatever money that the government owes me from employment insurance, or, using the money that I make from the ads on YouTube, like whatever it is, it still feels like at this point that it's like, it would be selfish of me to do that. And it's like, I realize that on some level, like that is a really dumb way to think. Because it's like, you don't know how long you're going to be alive. Why are you worrying about money? Why are you torturing yourself? So it's like, I haven't made a decision on that front, honestly. Like, I don't know. Part of me still feels like it would be selfish. I feel like I'd be guilty if I did it. I'd be taking advantage of people who are like donating money to help me, even if I don't use that money specifically. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about, kind of discussing with my wife. And, if I do it, I'd probably end up going like the cheapest way of like, let's buy like cheapest used PlayStation 5 that I can. Like, doesn't have to be the newest model. It can be the first model that came out. I don't care as long as it works. I can buy like older games that have been out for a couple of years that aren't that expensive. So it's like, I could probably get away with like $500. But still, in my situation, given the person that I am, I still feel like I would still feel guilty doing that. So I don't know. Something completely unrelated I didn't even think I'd talk about in this video. And I don't know, I guess it just came out. I thought it was something I've been thinking about lately, so just wanted to put it out there. In fact, you know what? Let me ask you. I'm curious. How would you feel if I decided to, let's say, spend $500 on a PlayStation and a couple of games to, distract myself, entertain myself, avoid being lonely and depressed and all those things? How would you feel? Would you feel like I'm taking advantage of people who are donating? Or am I just, doing what's best for me in my current situation? Honestly, at this point, it's very difficult for me to be objective. And even though it's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me, it's like, I do give a fuck about the people who go out of their way and who donate their hard-earned money. Like, I don't want to take advantage of those people. I don't want to feel guilty for feeling like I'm taking advantage. So it's like, I don't know. So I guess, yeah, let me know what you think on that front. Anyway, it's been a pretty long video. I think I'm going to end it here. Plus, I'm exhausted because I had an appointment today and I barely survived the walk home. So, on the plus side, I did not throw up. Came close, but I did not throw up. So I'm going to count that as a victory. So anyway, that's been pretty much all the updates. I'll keep you up. Oh, no, one final one. While I was there, I received a call from the hospital and they scheduled my appointment to, create the mask for my radiotherapy sessions and everything. That is going to be next week on Tuesday, I believe. Or maybe the week after that. I forgot the exact date, but anyway, shortly. I think it's next week. So once that's done, someone's going to call me and schedule the radiotherapy session. So I'll let you know when I have more info on that. Just wanted to let you know that they did call me. They did schedule that. So the process for the radiotherapy has begun. I don't know any more details at the moment, but that's kind of it for now. So yeah, it's been a long video. We discussed a lot of things. So let me know what you think in the comments. But not too much. Like, if there's too much comments, I just it gets overwhelming for me, and I don't have the energy to read all of them. And yeah, I just reached that point where the video got too long, and my phone is like, yeah, let's split it in two. And because I was just near the end of the video, the second part won't be long enough for me to publish it as a two-part video on YouTube. So I'm going to have to upload it to my computer, use my editing software, piece them together, download that, transfer that to my computer in order to upload it. And unfortunately, this is not one of those days where I get to record the video a day in advance because I didn't record a video yesterday. So I have to do all that right now. And it's going to suck and I'm not looking forward to it. So, thank you for watching. If you want to donate, you know how to do so. Blah, blah, blah. If you want to help me get the message out to more people, at this point it feels kind of pointless. Like, why bother? I don't know. But I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, for liking, for commenting, for donating, for being a part of my YouTube family. I love you all very much. And hopefully all this babbling that I just did made this second part of this video long enough for me to be able to upload it in two parts and not have to upload everything to my computer and edit the pieces together and re-download it. So we'll see what happens. Guess you'll find out. If there's two parts, second part was long enough for me to upload directly to YouTube. If it's just one video, well then it was not. So thank you for watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow.